Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I'm Ajuna Sharawat, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these esteemed interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulae for many. And this is what we hope these sessions are: a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge-sharing community. We have one such industry stalwart on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Sandip Mukherjee. Currently, hello Sandip, welcome to FaceTime with Leaders.
Thank you.
Currently having his own startup, Sandip Mukherjee and Associates Chartered Accountants, Sandip is a former taxes at Fox Mandal Associates, where Sandip was responsible for building and leading teams, catering to clients, setting up tax practices, achieving operational efficiencies, amongst many. Sandip has been giving his contribution and dedication to the fields of accountancy, taxation, and regulatory and business consulting for over past 30 years. Given his unquestionable prowess in finance, he is also a qualified foreign auditor in the Ministry of Finance, Vietnam. Wow. Sandip, you have handled a lot of responsibilities as head of taxes at Fox Mandal Associates. Some of them even go beyond your core area of excellence, which is finance. How did you manage to handle such varied responsibilities?
First of all, thank you very much for this opportunity, Ajuna, and welcome and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. So I would begin by saying that, yes, I have handled a lot of roles and I have worn different hats during my tenure of last almost 3 decades plus. I have been with Fox Mandal recently. I started my practice, my startup, as you mentioned, just a couple of months back. So yes, I have handled different roles, and in Fox Mandal, as well as in my earlier roles with the Big Four, I have had the opportunity to wear different hats, yes. But one thing which I have found in common is that all of these various roles, responsibilities, all of them have actually subsumed into one larger goal, which was basically client service. So how do I manage to bring out my best in, taking up these roles and responsibilities and helping my clients in building the trust in, finding solutions for their complex problems. So in a way, I have found that there is a lot of synergy in the various roles and responsibilities, be it in the business development, be it in practice development, be it in the various specific roles like an M&A role or a tax consultancy role or a tax litigation role. In various roles, I have had the opportunity to deal with different kind of issues, different kind of complexities. But all of them have been with the same and similar kind of objective and the larger goal, as I would say, which was to ensure that the client comes first and I'm able to deal with the client problem and find the right solution, the best solution, the most effective solution for my client. So I hope I've been able to answer the question.
So beautiful. Giving the right solution to the client, service to the client. Beautiful. So which of your job responsibilities do you like the most? I mean, you have liked the most, or you continue to like the most. Which roles have you found the most difficult to adjust with? And where else do you think you can excel?
Okay. So 3 parts to the question. What I found most exciting in my tenure or in the various roles and responsibilities, I would think, the opportunity to interact with different clients, with different individuals, with different companies, different sets of people, working with different team members with different abilities, different talents, skills, learning from all these people, and trying to solve some of the most difficult and complex problems most effectively within obviously a lot of constraints of time, of resources, etc. Doing all that was, to me, the most exciting role and responsibility. So that's something which excites me even today. And that's what keeps me going. So that's probably the most exciting and the most, I would think, coveted responsibility that I have, taken over. And it's something which makes me feel really passionate about. As far as the most difficult part in this role, I would think meeting the expectations, because with the role and responsibility come a lot of expectations of my clients, expectation of the people whom I'm working with, my team, my peers, my subordinates, my leaders, meeting their expectations. And I would think not just meeting, exceeding their expectations again and again and again is something which is always very, very challenging. It needs a lot of tact. It needs a lot of patience. It needs a lot of, I would think, adjustments to be made in the style, which is probably the most challenging part of the responsibilities that I would, have faced. As far as the third part of the question is concerned, I think you mentioned about what can I do to excel, right?
Yes.
I think, given the experience that I have gained over the last several decades, a little bit of wisdom that I have gained over the last, over my tenure of work, I would like to share that and bring it to probably a host of people, use those skills, use those experience, the knowledge, the wisdom that I've gained in trying to better the society, in trying to better whatever, wherever I am, I get an opportunity. So if it's in the area of corporate governance, for example, that's an area where I would like to contribute. And I'm sure with the experience that I have gained, there is a lot that I can do to add to the betterment of maybe a board or a company, the way in which they carry on their duties and responsibilities. That's where I would want to contribute more. So that's where probably I would think I can excel using my experience and my my knowledge so far.
For sure. And what was your most significant achievement? What would you say was your most significant achievement in your professional career so far?
Okay. So the most, I would think, the achievement as far as my professional career is concerned, while there were several I would consider, but the one which I think is closest to me is, my desire, my ambition to be on my own, to set up my own independent, practice, consulting practice, which was something which I had been dreaming about for last several years. So I have been with the big four accounting firms for almost 27 years out of my 34 years plus practice. So I have always dreamt about having my own setup, my own niche kind of advisory and consulting practice, which was something which prompted me to come out of the big four accounting world about 3 years back. And I began to, seriously think about setting up my own practice, which could not happen 3 years back because unfortunately we were all going through a serious pandemic situation, and the after effects of pandemic made it difficult for me to keep the things the way I had planned. So it went a little out of schedule. However, I continued to dream and I continued to build on my dream. So just a couple of months back, earlier this year, I finally managed to set up the practice which I was planning to do. So I would think that's something which I hold very close to my heart. The fact that I was able to set it up, and fingers crossed, I hope I would be able to be successful in my endeavors going forward.
Certainly, and you have all our best wishes.
Thank you.
Sandip, how much tech dependent is the field of finance? We would like to know what technical changes have you seen in your career journey?
Many. And in fact, I might sound like a dinosaur, but I belong to the era when we did not have
technology.
Technology was not considered something which we needed for carrying out our work. So, and I'm talking about just 30 years back. Can you imagine that just 30 years back, we did not have any of these things? We did not have the mobile phone, the smartphone. We did not have internet, the Wi-Fi, which we can't even imagine today, right? With our work, carrying out our work without any of these things. But we did not have any of these things. It was only in the late 90s and maybe closer to this century, turn of the century, that we got introduced to most of these new technologies. So the finance work that we used to carry out was primarily an unsmart way of doing work, where everything was manually done. It was manual dependent. We had a little bit of technology in the form of electronic typewriters, maybe dictaphones. We did have the mainframe computers, but that was limited to a few people who used to use them. We did not have desktops and the palm tops and laptops and stuff like that. So from there, the evolution of technology that I have witnessed, and along with me, my generation, has been phenomenal. And not only the development of technology, but the use of that technology in the finance field. So all of these technologies that I'm talking about have now become an essential part of our work. We can't do without Wi-Fi and internet. We would not have been able to have this interview, the call, without Wi-Fi. We can't do our work without the smartphones. We can't do our work without tablets. And then we have the new technologies which we are now facing with in our day-to-day lives, the 5G, the IoTs and the artificial intelligence, and now we have the chat GPT, 5G technology coming, the cloud technology. Now, all of these have become an essential part of our life. So machine learning is something which we have got to get used to. All of this is very important for a finance professional. So being technologically savvy is something which is an essential part of a professional today. And being averse to technology will only be at the risk of that person not being successful in whatever he or she is pursuing. So I think the evolution of technology, the use of technology, and the ability of the finance professional to adapt to that technology is probably something which we have witnessed rapidly in the last 5 to 10 years.
So now, Sandip, you are a corporate governance expert. How do you envision changing the corporate world for good?
Oh, so like I mentioned, Ajuna,
earlier also, yeah.
That's something which is very close to my heart. I would want to use and adapt some of those experiences, the knowledge, the skill, the wisdom, whatever I have gained over the last several years of my practice and my tenure with the multinational companies and the various interactions that I've had with some of the best professionals in our field. Whatever I have learned, I would want to. I've gathered them, of course, in a way. In my mind, I have gathered them. In my system, I have gathered them. I would want to get this opportunity to share as much as I can in whatever capacity that I am able to through proper governance principles. So number one, bring about some change in the way things are being governed in various places. I know there are a lot of places where I can bring about some of these changes, be it in the manner of doing the work, bring in that corporate discipline, bring in some of the attributes, the good qualities and principles and values, which we all aspire, but for whatever reason, we have not been able to bring about all of them. Try and help the board, try and help the stakeholders in trying to bring in the honest ways, the more smarter ways of carrying out the work by doing it ethically, by doing it with the right transparency. So all of these are good qualities, are honest practices, ethical practices, which I have had the opportunity to, be a part of, being part of good companies and good multinational and good boards. I would think those are some of the good qualities which I would want to see that they are introduced, and in whatever capacity, in whatever way I can be kind of an engine for that drive, I would be happy to be the drive.
Certainly. Yes. Again, our best wishes.
Thank you.
Sandip, what are your visions on environmental and social issues in the corporate world?
So that's become a very important area, the environment, the social and the governance principles, the ESG as it is called. It's becoming a very important aspect of corporate governance. It's becoming a very important practice for all companies. So I would think that each of these three, if I were to break it up, the environment, firstly, we have now realized, and probably the realization has not come too soon, that we cannot progress or we cannot be successful in our endeavors at the cost of the environment. So whatever actions we take, whatever decisions we take, has to be after considering the impact of that action or the impact of the decision on our environment. So environment is something which goes hand in hand with our existence. So if the environment exists, then we exist. So I think it's important for today's corporate world to preserve and protect the tomorrow's corporate world. I would put it that way, because that's probably the big responsibility that we as leaders carry. As far as the social part of the ESG is concerned, just like environment, the society or the social fabric within which we operate, that also needs to be given proper importance. So be it gender diversity, be it the inclusion part of the social framework, or be it the community in which we live. We need to be aware of all that and try and ensure that all those principles and all those good values that society needs and society wants is something which we uphold and we put into practice. So that's the second part. And last but not least, the governance, which I already mentioned, is something which is very, very important. the right values of ethics, the right values of honesty, the right values of fairness and just behavior within the boards and within the leaders is something which will go a long way in bringing out fairness in this society. So if all of these three things were to be put together under the umbrella of ESG, that's where I believe my vision of success would be achieved. So for any company or for any leader of that company, if he or she would want to claim success, it cannot be unless all these principles are properly kind of executed and thought about.
Very well put and very well said.
Thanks.
Sandip, as you are aware that we are building the Global Thought Leaders community for cross-pollination of knowledge and a community of non-executive directors for having a better corporate governance in the country. What are your thoughts on these initiatives taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan and Mr. Heval Mehta and the whole World Development Corporation?
I think it's an excellent initiative. It's something which will go a long way, and all these things that we have been discussing about, the duties, the responsibilities that corporate leaders have, all that would remain on paper unless we put it into some form of action. So I think this initiative is something which is going to go a long way in putting all these thoughts into action. So it's good to talk about all these things. It's good to read about all these things, and good to make all these motherhood statements that we need to do this, we need to do that. But it will not happen unless the people who are responsible to make it happen do not make it a part of their DNA. So I think this initiative, this consortium, this group of thought leaders coming together with responsibility and with an agenda to make things happen, I think will definitely go a long way in bringing all these principles together. We have to also understand that India is in a very sweet spot today, and the coming decade or so, or even more, is probably going to be the decade for India, is what the world says and what we all believe and we would want to see happen. So we are at that juncture, the kind of, crux of history, I would say, where we are seeing India evolve into a very, very important country, a very important economy, where the world is looking up to India and Indians. So being a part of this society, being an Indian, a citizen of India, a proud citizen of India, I think there is a lot which rests on our shoulders. The world is looking up to India to provide guidance, and we have seen a lot of important developments over the last several years, which have made come forward in taking up these responsibilities. So I think this group of thought leaders in the corporate world is only one more addition to the leadership initiative that the country has been seen to have taken. And I'm sure this will go a long way. I would definitely want to be a part of this if I can, in whatever way, and contribute to its success.
Thank you for your motivating feedback.
Thank you.
And that was a very valuable conversation with you. I'm confident that your insights will inspire the future leaders. Thank you, Sandip, for joining us today. Wish you the best for your future endeavors.
It was a pleasure talking to you, Arjuna. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Trust that this initiative by Directors Institute unquestionably expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds.